Hey, what's going on, Drip Fam? It's Phil back here with another video. This time I'm going to be giving my advice to ambitious millennials. This one's kind of personal. It's not my full story, but it does have a little bit of info about my background and essentially how I went from being broke and having no money to being a millionaire in my 20s. And before all the trolls jump in and hit the dislike button and leave comments and say, oh, it's fucking trust fund, baby. Fucking parents are rich. No, my parents didn't have any money. This is actually a real legitimate self-made story. And this is my advice to anybody watching this video to do the exact same thing that I did. All right, so before we actually get into the video and my personal points of advice, I wanted to share this picture. And there's the old saying that a picture is worth 10,000 words. This picture is worth 10,000 pictures. And as soon as I saw this years and years ago, it really stood out to me. And it's so true because most people believe that success is like the image on the left. It's a linear path. It's a path of no resistance where you just kind of get lucky and you go from point A to point B. That could not be further from the truth. Real success, my own story, everybody that I know who has been successful, who's self-made, has been the picture on the right. You're going to have points where you have massive success and then have massive setbacks. You have situations where you make a lot of money, you lose a lot of money, you're lost, you're confused, you don't know what to do, you're thriving. There's so many mixtures of different feelings that you're going to experience throughout success. And no, success is not a journey. Success is a process. But it's not quite as simple as the picture on the left, where people want to make it out to be the equivalent of just putting in an address on your GPS and getting in your car and going from point A to point B. It's not really like that. Okay, guys, so my first piece of advice to an aspiring millennial would be that you have absolutely no excuse not to risk it all. This is the point of your life where you have more leniency to risk everything and lose everything. Even if you failed every single thing that you tried, you would still be okay. And, it's different for people who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. You may not have living relatives. You may not have as many friends that live close to you. You may not have other social resources that you can fall back to, that you can still use as leverage to be okay. In your 20s, 30s, even some of the people watching this are going to be in their teens, you have such a massive opportunity right now to take every single risk, fuck it all up, and still be okay. So that is my first piece of advice, is that you need to be out there taking every single risk that you can and take advantage of that while you can. So this is my second piece of advice, and that is to always watch your back. And I don't want to sound paranoid. I don't want to sound like a sociopath when I say this, but be prepared to have friends, family, coworkers, anybody that you care about take advantage of you. Especially cases, boyfriend-girlfriend situations. You're going to have people who never hung out with you before you hit success. They're going to start hitting you up, wanting to be your buddy. That's a huge red flag, and you need to avoid those people at all costs. Because I will tell you just from my own experience of trying to be a nice person, an outgoing person, somebody who wanted to help others, I have lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from people who have taken advantage of me, both in business and personally. And I've found that honestly, I've had more people take advantage of me in my personal life than in my business life. Because the people in my business life, the majority of them are too smart to want to take advantage of somebody because they know that it's not sustainable, it's not long term. So you need to prepare yourself to be able to resist that. I'd like to think that most people are good, but sometimes even those closest to us are guilty of this. You are going to have situations where people who have been friends with you for years will take advantage of you. They'll screw you. They'll steal from you. They'll stop talking to you. They'll become jealous of you. And that's an immediate sign that you need to move away from those people, because those people will absolutely hold you down. And that's actually another piece of advice for later on in the video. But anyways, guys, you have to watch your back. You have to kind of, especially when you're young, everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to have a lot of friends. It's just part of being young. But it is a massive weakness if you're not prepared and have the right mindset of being able to resist friends, family, and others that you care about in your life taking advantage of you. So my third piece of advice would be stop trying to impress others. And of course, people are going to comment and say, well, stop trying to impress people. Well, I only clicked on the video because I saw 2 nice cars. Yeah, sure. I mean, you saw the clickbait image in the video. Yes, I have 2 nice vehicles in my garage. They're actually the only 2 things that I have in my entire house and in my life in general that are just over the top expenses. But it's for multiple reasons. I'm a car guy. I get enjoyment out of that, and I can comfortably afford these, even if my income was to stop for the next 5+ years. And they actually have an actual function in one of my businesses, this YouTube channel, for example. So if you are a materialistic person, if you're the kind of guy or girl that has to be wearing a $5,000 watch and be decked out in Gucci, you're in for a lot of temptation once you start to see some success. And you have to be able to resist that urge, because otherwise you are absolutely going to go bankrupt. I've seen people who have had massive success in a short period of time. They'll go out and they'll buy Lambos, Ferraris, rent out houses they can't afford. And they get themselves into such a deep hole because it's a short-term situation that once things kind of start to go south, because everybody in business is going to have a rough time, a rough patch that you're going to go through, they don't have the resources to survive the hole that they've dug themselves into. And sometimes those people don't recover. I have had at least 20, 30 people that I have known over the years just disappear for this reason alone. They've gone out and they've got a ton of cars that they just don't have the money for. They've gotten these huge houses. They take these really expensive trips, once a month or even a couple times a year. They can be expensive enough and add up to where they literally just are living way outside of their means. So get yourself into a state of mind where you don't need to impress other people. I would focus on self-esteem, confidence, building those 2 things up. If you're somebody that you feel that you're trying to be successful because you're trying to prove somebody wrong, you're trying to, get back at somebody who's done bad things to you, I can totally relate to that. But at the same time, you have to resist the urge to go out and get all of these really expensive materialistic things that really add no value to your life, because it's just going to get you asking for trouble. And I always do this every single time that I want to do something like this. I want to have something that's just nice and luxurious and unnecessary in my life. I always ask myself this question: can I buy this or can I afford this? And there is a difference. So my next piece of advice would be to focus on skills. Do not focus on money. And I know what it's like when you're in a tight space. You're having trouble paying your rent. You're having trouble paying your bills or paying a car payment or being able to go to school. It's tough not to focus on money, because you need money. Money is oxygen for you to breathe, to be able to do the things that you want to do, to be more of who you are. And it's taught in so many of these videos online and so many of these online personalities. They're like, well, it's all about the money. This is one of the most common mistakes that these young hustler types make. When you focus strictly on making money, you're going to miss out on what actually allows you to make a ton of money. And that's building skill sets. And we live in a world where the only two real forms of currency left on this planet are information and influence. So stop focusing on making money and learn skills that allow you to add value to other people. And I assure you, once you do that, you will be able to make as much money as you ever want or need for the rest of your life. And there's a million things that you can learn out there with virtually no money or resources and start to create income. Focus on learning those skills first. So let's get on to the next point, and that is not to walk the road alone. I'm sure you've heard it before, and I've kind of butchered this here, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, Rome also was not built by one person. You need to start networking with like-minded individuals, and honestly, you need to be networking with people who are 10 times more successful than you. And I'm talking like these people are so much more successful than you that you feel almost embarrassed and nervous and anxious being around them because they're that much more successful. The old saying that your network is your net worth is super true. And there's no excuse with technology nowadays to not be able to network with people who are quote unquote winners. Facebook and Skype alone have allowed me to network with a ton of 7, 8, and even 9-figure earners while being thousands and thousands of miles away from them. Another great place to look for like-minded acquaintances and people to talk business with is online forums. They're everywhere. It doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to become a millionaire by starting the next Apple or starting the next Amazon, there's a place for that. If you want to start a fucking laundromat business, there are forums out there full of people who are just interested in passive income methods like laundromats, car washes, and things like that, coin-operated businesses. And an example that I make here is if you're interested in real estate investing, that's a super common one. There are so many forums online that will allow you to network with hundreds of thousands of people who are actually successfully investing in real estate. And I'll guarantee you that some of these people, out of these hundreds of thousands of people, some of these people will talk to you. They'll Skype with you. They may jump on a phone call with you. And it's a little awkward, not meeting a person face to face, but still networking with them. But if they're able to provide value to you and get you to that next point of where you need to be, then there is no excuse not to do that. So regardless of what you want to do, network with those who are already successfully doing it. All right, so next piece of advice, you have got to cut the fat out of your life. And I'm not talking about weight or health or anything like that here. I'm talking about the people who are just complete negative influences on your life, who are just draining positive energy from you and positive momentum and are leeching off of you. They're stopping you from getting to where you need to be. And this one was particularly tough for me because I always wanted to be, very friendly with people. And I always, like I said in an earlier slide, I always like to assume that most people are good. And when I first began my journey as an entrepreneur, I didn't have a lot of people supporting me. And it's completely normal. It's to be expected. I don't want any sympathy for it. But I had a lot of people who were just negative influences in my life. And I got to a point where I started to realize that these people were kind of just purely toxic. It was a point in my life where, I was in college, and a lot of my friends were so interested in going out and partying all the time instead of spending their early years building a strong foundation for their future like I was. You know, sure, I loved to party when I was in college. I mean, who doesn't like to have a good time? But I realized at a young age that if I focused on building a strong foundation for my future, I would be able to spend the rest of my life partying. So I realized that a lot of these people were stopping me from getting to where I really needed to be in my life. A lot of them, when I first started out, would kind of make fun of me. They would say, "Oh, we've got Steve Jobs over here. He's going to be the next big thing," and they would poke and prod, and it did and it didn't bother me. I eventually learned to just kind of push it off because I realized eventually that this was a problem not with me, but with those people. Sometimes people, when they can't do things themselves, they want to hold other people back. And it doesn't matter whether you've been friends with somebody for 3 months or 10, 15 years. You will find that some of the people that you would least expect to be like this are exactly like this once they start to see you wanting to be somebody in your life. And I'm not saying to write all of your friends a note telling them that you never want to see them again, or tell them that you're better than them, or be just a complete asshole. Just start to distance yourself from negative influences in your life, period. And I love this quote here at the bottom. This guy, if you don't know who Dan Pena is, you've got to go look him up. He's here on YouTube. He's known as the $50 billion man. This quote says it all. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Number 7, lack of money is not an excuse. And this is a really common one, especially with millennials and younger people, because it's a real challenge. And like I said earlier, I can relate to that. Many people who get started in business at a young age are discouraged due to their lack of financial resources. Credit can obviously be an issue. You may not even have a credit score because you're just at that point in your life where, you may not even have even had a credit card or a car payment or anything like that. And that was definitely a challenge for me. And you most likely will not have any collateral to take out a loan from a bank. So it's a very common excuse of, well, I just don't have the money. I would do it, but I just don't have it. And I'll save you a lot of headache by simplifying this for you. There's 2 ways to create more wealth in your life. One is with money, and the other is by sacrificing your time. And more commonly, it's called sweat equity. There's tons and tons of ways for millennials, younger people, and even people in their 30s, 40s, 50s to create income and cash flow literally out of thin air, both on the internet and off. Most of the time that I hear this excuse, it's just because it's the type of person who is making one excuse after another. They're procrastinating. And if you're going to make this excuse, you're honestly just being lazy. When I get into a later video that I plan on making sometime here in early 2018, I'll tell you more about this, but I was able to create $15,000 off $100. Yeah, you may be like, well, that's not normal. Yeah, you're right. It's not. It was my first big success, and it took years of sacrificing my time to learn skill sets where I could provide that level of value to other people to make $15,000 off a $100 bill. So once again, just to cap this off, focus on building those highly valuable skill sets. And it doesn't matter whether you have financial resources or not. You can get just the same amazing, huge results and the massive success without money as you can when you have money. All right, so as you can see, I've totally stolen the title of this slide from the movie The Patriot, that movie with fucking Mel Gibson. But it's still an awesome analogy. Aim small, miss small. And what I mean by that is start lean businesses. Starting lean businesses has literally been responsible for 99.999% of my success. And you're probably wondering, what the hell is a lean business? A lean business is simply a business that does not require you to have a ton of starting capital, employees, huge infrastructure, yet it gives you the ability to make huge returns simply due to the nature and model of the business. And obviously, from those of you who watch my channel, you know that I've found the majority of these lean business models on the internet. If you're a millennial, somebody in their teens, 20s, 30s, even somebody in their 40s, you should be taking advantage of the internet. The internet is the biggest financial opportunity of our time to literally be able to create businesses for $100 or less, or even nothing, that can turn into multiple six-figure income streams and be actually long-term, not last for, 2-3 months, but last for 10, 15, 20 years. And some of these things can be sellable assets with an actual exit strategy. Somebody may come in and offer to buy some of these businesses. And I'll be making a video on that in the future as to some of these lean businesses you can start. But I have provided a few examples down here below at the bottom. E-commerce, Shopify, Amazon FBA, software development, product launching, affiliate marketing, web design, consultancy, and there's just a ton more. And no, I'm not going to get into all that stuff in this video. If you have any desire to learn anything about that, I'd recommend you subscribe. Or if you're wanting to go learn about that right now and you're not willing to wait until I put up another video, just go on YouTube. There's a million tutorials of how you can get into different lean business models like these that I've described down here. All right, guys, so here we are at the final piece of advice. And of course, everybody knew that this was going to be the final piece of advice. It always is. Honestly, just go fucking do it. This is not a sob story. I am very, very blessed and thankful to have had such a great life. But a little bit about me, I come from one of the absolute poorest states in the United States. And yes, the United States is extremely well-to-do compared to some of the people watching this who may be in countries where an annual salary of $4,000 is incredible. But just to put this into perspective for my U.S. viewers and maybe some of the people who are watching internationally, West Virginia is ranked 48 out of 50 states by annual median income in 2015. And if you check for 16 and 17 and probably into 18, you'll see that it's still this state's just broke. We have a lot of crime down here, and we've been awarded, quote unquote, awarded, being the worst place to try to start a business for the past 3 years in a row now by multiple publications, news networks. West Virginia is literally one of the worst places in the United States to start a business. And that did not stop me. Furthermore, I am also a high school and college dropout. Yes, I did get my GED. And no, I did not drop out of college because I was an idiot. I actually had pretty good grades. I had like a 3.85 or a 3.9, I believe, in my junior year. It was just a situation where I couldn't afford to continue going to school. And it's one of the reasons why I started to take self-employment and being an entrepreneur much more seriously, because I realized that if I continued down the road I was going, I would constantly be dependent on somebody else. And I didn't want to have to live that type of life. So on paper and in most people's eyes, I literally should have had no chance to be where I am today, following by the quote unquote rule book. In fact, I don't even have the credentials to hold a rifle in the military. If I tried to go sign up for the Marine Corps, they would consider me to be too stupid and underqualified
to hold a rifle, yet I can run a multi-million-dollar company. And I'm not kidding about that, by the way. Go look it up if you don't believe me on the military thing. You do have to have either a high school diploma, or you have to have a high school diploma, or I'm sorry, not a high school diploma, a GED plus like a certain amount of time in college and ROTC and stuff like that. But I'm not telling you this because I want you to feel that my life has been hard. I'm not making this video for sympathy. I don't give a crap. I've had a great life. I'm blessed. But I just want to tell you this to provide some inspiration and motivation to some of you out there who may be in similar situations. No matter what cards you are dealt, there is always a way to get there. So stop making excuses and start making moves, guys. All right, guys, so now you've heard my top pieces of advice for young hustlers, young entrepreneurs who are aspiring to hit massive levels of success, build wealth from scratch. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button below. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content in 2018 where I'm going to be teaching a lot of lean business models, how you can get started on literally no money and create massive businesses that can last a lifetime. I'm also going to be putting out some videos that are just kind of generic entrepreneurship videos like this video was, some motivational stuff, and maybe just some daily vlog kind of stuff. Who knows? But anyways, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. I always love feedback, even if you're a troll. Anyways, guys, we'll catch you in the next video.